that. So with that, I will call the meeting for August 27th, 2025 of the Legislative Commission on Cybersecurity to order. We will pass over the approval of the minutes and the election of the chairs and vice chair for the moment. Oh, we do. Well, forgive me, now we do. Okay. So with that, we do have some meeting minutes to approve. Vice Chair Lucero, did you want to approve the minutes from Friday, November 22, 2024?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All those who approve, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the meeting minutes are approved. With that, we'll directly go to the election of the chair, and then I will pass it over to the new chair. According to our rules, the chair must rotate between the House and Senate every biennium, and so I will be ending my reign today and passing that torch. I will start the process by nominating Senator Wickland to become our next chair. Any other nominations for chair? Hearing none, we'll proceed with a vote. All those in favor of electing Senator Wickland as the chair for the Legislative Coordinating Commission, please say aye.
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 Any nays? And the ayes have it. Welcome. Let's go ahead and do the vice chair and then we can swap. Does that seem fair? All right. So next, do I have any nominations for vice chair?
Oh, okay. I'd like to nominate Representative Nash.
Thank you. Senator Wickland nominates Representative Nash for that position. And I wanted to, are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll proceed with the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. And congratulations, Representative Nash is our new vice chair. And with that, I can switch. Would you like to switch over, or would you like me to do the other business leading into the presentation, Madam Chair? Okay. Okay. All right. For time, because we started a few minutes late, we're going to skip over item 4 on your agenda for right now about future meeting topics and schedule. We can always reconvene and have that conversation amongst ourselves to make sure that we schedule the next meeting and, of course, lay out some ideas for future meeting topics. However, I will mention here that if the public has any suggestions on topics they would like to see covered by the Cybersecurity Commission, please make sure to send that to the chair. And we will certainly take those under advisement, and we would certainly appreciate your feedback. With that, we also have some discussion on the 2026 cybersecurity and data privacy bills. Do we want to proceed with those next, or do we want to go straight to the presentation? All right. With that, we can also potentially skip that for the moment as well, and we'll consider whether or not we need to just take that offline. For today, that will give us plenty of time to represent our speakers here today. And of course, I want to say a hearty thank you to all of the folks in the room today. I will let them introduce themselves, but Mayor Carter, I believe, is here to help us with a presentation on the cybersecurity attacks in St. Paul. As many folks in the public may be aware, a couple of years ago, we passed a bill in a bipartisan fashion that designated IT infrastructure as critical infrastructure in the event of a cyber attack. And those of us who sit in this space know very well that it was not a matter of if this was going to happen, but when. I certainly am sorry Mayor Carter, that your city happened to be the test case for this, but also delighted that we are able to look at our policies and procedures and use that as a way to prove out the concept and make sure that we have the best possible response for any future incidents. And I'm very grateful that you are all willing to be here today to participate. That we also have members from the Office of Technology and Communications, the Incident Commander for Cyber Attack Response, our Chief Information Security Officer, and we have the Deputy Director for St. Paul's Emergency Management, all here with us as well, in case there should be questions or clarifications needed. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and call up our presenters for today to go ahead and get into the meat of today's topic, which is St. Paul's response to the digital security systems. I do want to be very clear and transparent up front that we will at some point be taking this into a closed-door session today to make sure that anything that has a sensitive nature around cybersecurity for state or local government entities is kept private. Per closed meeting procedures, we will in fact need to elect a secretary before we do that. As long as we've already elected the officers, maybe we'll do that before the presentation. Do we have anyone who would like to step up and volunteer to be our secretary for the closed session? And apparently it has to be from the Senate, is my understanding.
Oh, well, Madam Chair, I was going to volunteer Representative Elkins, but,
Does that mean you're willing to do it?
well,
Vice Chair Lucero?
by deductive reasoning, I guess I have to, process
Okay,
elimination. So.
all right. Well, thank you for volunteering. If there are no objections, we will elect Vice Chair Lucero to that position. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Sorry, Vice Chair Lucero, the ayes have it. You are elected. All right. And then we will go ahead and call folks up for the presentation. I don't know who's going to start, but. And for those online or in the room, if you did not have access to the presentation, there were some outside of the room, and I believe there is an attachment on the site for the Legislative Commission, which should also include that packet as well for folks. So we can all follow along together. Welcome, Mayor Carter. Why don't I let you start first with the introductions at the table?
Fantastic. Good afternoon, Madams Chairs. It's wonderful to be here with you, and I appreciate you making this opportunity and all of the members of the commission to participate in today's hearing. I'd like to extend a warm welcome and my gratitude to the city leaders from, I'm Mayor Melvin Carter, the mayor of the city of St. Paul. And I would like to extend a warm welcome and my gratitude to the city leaders from our Office of Technology and Communications, Director Jamie Waskalis, as well as our Chief Information Security Officer, Steph Horvath, who are to my left, and Emergency Management Deputy Director Mike Sand, who were mission critical to our response and recovery efforts over the last month. I'm very proud to serve alongside each and every one of them and the teams that they represent. While the highly publicized cyber attack against the city of St. Paul earlier this month has made front page news and has been very publicized, it is probably the fifth of 6 network security incidents that I'm aware of just in the past year involving public jurisdictions right here in the state of Minnesota. This is a very serious threat for us. And it's an emerging threat, as all of you know very well. As the protections get more and more sophisticated, the attacks continue to get more and more sophisticated. I want to offer my deepest thanks to Governor Tim Walz, whose swift leadership and mobilization of the Minnesota National Guard Cyber Protection Team brought surge capacity, credibility, and expertise that strengthened our response and accelerated our recovery. The support and expertise provided by Lieutenant Colonel Brian Morgan and Major Luke Voller was instrumental throughout this process. This partnership sent a clear signal that the state of Minnesota stood firmly with the city of St. Paul in this critical moment. Our ability to address this ransomware attack and successfully reach the stage we are at today is because we had the right people leading at the right time. We're here today to walk you through the city of St. Paul's recent response to a sophisticated digital security incident and share what we learned so that we can strengthen cyber resilience, not just in our city, but across Minnesota. It's of course our hope that other communities learn from our experiences as well, and that we're able to follow your leadership to help us ensure our statewide fabric of protection is well and in place. As you know, please go ahead. As you know, there will be things we cannot discuss. There's a significant federal investigation with the FBI leading. I've watched just enough television to know that when the FBI takes over, I get to take a back seat. And so there will be potentially certain components of this case that we have to leave to them. But we're happy to walk you through everything that we're able to. In today's, oh, did I go the wrong way? Okay, there we go. I guess now I'm going to go to my opening remarks. I don't know what I was doing up until now. Today we'll walk through the incident itself, as well as our response timeline. We'll highlight key partnerships that enabled our recovery, and we'll share lessons learned. As you know, cyber attacks are a global issue. And specifically, ransomware attacks are a global issue. Cities, corporations, schools, hospitals, children's hospitals more specifically, and governments everywhere are targeted daily, well, by the hour, by these attacks. Ransomware is designed to lock you out of your own systems and then demand payment. Increasingly, attackers also steal data and threaten to release it if the ransom isn't paid, a tactic called double extortion. They move quickly and quietly through networks, wait until they can cause maximum disruption, and then strike all at once. St. Paul is not unique in being confronted by ransomware actors. For example, in 2024, United Health Group, headquartered in Minnesota, reported one of the largest healthcare-related cyber incidents in U.S. history. The breach caused weeks of billing and claims disruptions nationwide, with direct financial losses in the billions. This example shows the ripple effects such attacks can have on both operations and public trust. In St. Paul, we responded by refusing to pay ransom, relying on secure backups, and accelerating recovery with the help of safeguards we had already invested in and the partners who supported us. The two operational lines of effort that defined our approach to this digital security incident were, one, ensuring the continuity of government services, and two, responding to the attack on our information systems. Our job, first and foremost, is to serve the residents of our communities. That means making sure that services people rely on every day remain readily available, from answering 911 calls to keeping water flowing and safe, to ensuring employees are paid and city business continues. Regardless of the situation, an expectation is set. 911 must be answered, water must be delivered, city business must continue, and disruptions must be minimized as much as possible. Simultaneously, we collaborated with our emergency management team to activate our Emergency Operations Center, formally bringing together local, state, and federal partners, including the Minnesota National Guard's Cyber Protection Team, to begin our forensic investigation and containment. By issuing a local state of emergency, which was extended by our city council, it gave us the means necessary to execute both operational priorities. To be clear, I have been asked by many reporters why it's taken long to get all of those systems back online and what the specific timeline is. And my response to all of them has been that getting those systems back online, frankly, have not been our top priority. Our top priority has been ensuring the continuity of those critical systems I just described to you. St. Paul has long treated cybersecurity with the seriousness it deserves. Throughout my administration, we've prioritized the security and stability of our technical systems to ensure a posture of 21st century readiness. We all know that the digital threats we face today are far more sophisticated and harmful than what we've experienced even in the last several years. There's an entire economy based around theft of intellectual property or denial of access, and threat actors are targeting everyone from municipal entities and hospital systems to Fortune 500 companies, and most recently, both the federal judiciary's electronic case filing system and even Google, who I believe last week, in the last couple of weeks, announced a network security incident that had targeted their own systems. That's why we've invested in forward-thinking strategies and the people who know how to deploy them. Since 2022, we've been intentionally hardening our defenses to protect against technical disruptions and threats of cyber attacks. We brought on Director Wiskalis and Cecil Horvath, who, as many of you know, is a major general in the United States Army and quite literally wrote the playbook for what today is the Minnesota National Guard Cyber Protection Team. Their leadership, with support from our emergency management team, expanded our secured backup systems to protect against ransomware and data loss, enhanced employee training to recognize and report phishing schemes and potential cyber threats, built stronger partnerships with state, federal, and private sector cybersecurity experts, modernized our infrastructure to close vulnerabilities before they can be exploited, and deployed real-time monitoring tools to detect and respond to suspicious activity the moment it occurs, like endpoint detection and multi-factor authentication, which proved critical to our response. These proactive investments are why we were able to move quickly and effectively in the face of this recent ransomware attack. But we couldn't begin to restore our critical systems until we were confident that every password had been changed. We had closed the door with the network shutdown. Now we needed to change the locks. That's what gave rise to Operation Secure St. Paul. It was the result of our seriousness, our swiftness, and our incredible partners. In just 1 week, our city staff stood up an operation that most organizations would take months to plan. We secured Roy Wilkins Auditorium, one of the only venues large enough to handle the thousands of employees we needed to process, and transformed it into a secure IT operations hub. City employees led the charge, designing the flow, building out the network connections from scratch, and creating technology platforms that allowed us to safely check staff in, verify their identity, and issue temporary passwords. At peak times, they moved 180 employees per hour through the system, supported by more than 70 volunteers and colleagues working side by side on intake, technology stations, and security checks. They did all of this under extraordinary circumstances. With every password cleared and normal tools like Outlook and Teams intentionally taken offline, employees couldn't access their devices until they came through Roy Wilkins. That's why this effort stretched across 3 straight days, including a weekend, to ensure everyone had the chance to be onboarded successfully. It was an incredible lift, and it was successful because of the heroic efforts of our city staff. Partners like the Minnesota National Guard, federal agencies, and local volunteers added critical support and capacity, and it was our employees who carried the weight of this operation and delivered for their colleagues and for the residents we serve. The scale, speed, and professionalism of Operation Secure St. Paul underscore how critical this effort was to restoring services for our residents and how deeply St. Paul is committed to protecting them. Thanks to these efforts, our 3,500 St. Paul City employees now have probably the absolute longest passwords of their entire lives. I learned the phrase passphrase, not just a password. We also played with the concept of a pass poem. This experience reinforces a critical central truth that I know this commission understands well. Preparation and partnerships make the difference. Our proactive steps, multi-factor authentication, secured backups, endpoint detection, and continuous employee training gave us a defensible foundation. Our partnerships with the National Guard, state, federal, and private sector experts allowed us to accelerate recovery and validate our actions against national standards. Now, we are moving with urgency to modernize legacy systems, expand cloud-based services with stronger segmentation, and deepen our employee awareness programs. The lesson for all cities is one you all already know. Resilience is not built in the moment of crisis. It comes from sustained investment, disciplined preparation, and trusted partnerships long before an attack ever arrives. Thank you for sharing with me these moments for opening statements. And with that, I will transition to our Chief Information Security Officer, Stephanie Horvath, for a little background on some of the technology and security investments we've made.
Thank you, Mayor Carter, Madam's Chair, and the members of this very important commission. My name is Stephanie Horvath. I serve as the Chief Information Security Officer for the City of St. Paul. As mentioned, I am a Major General in the Army National Guard, currently serving as the Deputy Commanding, I didn't plan that, as the Deputy Commanding General for the Army Cyber Center of Excellence, training the next generation of cybersecurity defenders for our state and our nation. It's been my honor to serve and bring the same commitment to St. Paul when I was appointed the city's first full-time Chief Information Security Officer in 2022. This investment of leadership, planning, and proactive defense gave us a foundation we needed to contain this incident quickly and prevent it from becoming far worse. The city's information security program is grounded in 3 guiding principles. 1, adaptation to emerging technologies. This group knows all too well and understands that security must keep pace with change, from remote access and IoT sensors to AI-enabled applications. Intelligence-driven defense. We prioritize limited resources based on leading cyber threat intelligence to focus on the most credible and urgent risks. Balanced investment. We work to maximize the tools we already own so the city leaders aren't forced to choose between a single-purpose cybersecurity product over a community investment like a park enhancement. From these principles, we've built a set core of programmatic defenses. Modernization in governments, embedding risk oversight into every stage of the technology lifecycle, including policies, internal and external audits, and security reviews for procuring third-party apps. Again, I know this group knows identity is the new perimeter, and so recognizing that, we have the realities of a cloud-first remote work, and so we have secured individual user and device identities through the phishing-resistant MFA for all remote access, VPN access, M365, and advanced email and identity protections in Microsoft 365 that are inherent within Microsoft 365. A security culture, building the culture through practice, phishing simulations, lightweight training, videos, and proactive communications in our amazing firewall newsletter. These principles, practices, together define St. Paul's cybersecurity program, dynamic, threat-based, resource-conscious, and people-centered. They are what gave us a defensible posture to counter this attack and what will continue to guide our resilience going forward. I will now hand over the brief to Director Wiscalis.
Thank you, Chief Information Security Officer Horvath. Thank you, Mayor Carter. Thank you, chairs. Thank you, commissioners. Really great to be here in front of you to talk about what our lives have been like in the last couple of weeks. My name is Jamie Wiscalis, and I am the Chief Information Officer and Director of the Office of Technology and Communications at the City of St. Paul. I have more than 25 years of technology experience and nearly a decade in leadership roles as a CIO in the public sector. For this event, I was also designated as the incident commander once the event started on July 25th. This slide provides a high-level timeline of the emergency phase. I'll highlight a few key events, and then we'll talk more in depth about some of them in the following slides. From the detection on July 25th, through the activation of the National Guard 4 days later on July 29th, through Operation Secure St. Paul, where we did change the passwords of over 3,000 employees, you can see that we did have a rapid sequence of events. Throughout, we maintained emergency services. We kept employees paid, we kept our libraries and rec centers open, and we communicated transparently with the public and the media. To get a little bit more into the details, on July 25th, our systems detected a sophisticated threat actor. Fortunately, our security tools gave us an early window into their activity. We immediately activated our incident command structure, confirmed our backups, and began containing the threat. Within days, we did shut down our network to limit the movement and protect our systems. As you may know, engaging a specialized incident response team is a standard, and we did that immediately. They guided the forensic investigation, advised on containment, and are supporting us in our secure recovery planning. Their expertise has reinforced our defenses, and it's ensuring our recovery follows best practices. On August 11th, after the city refused to pay ransom, the threat actor did publish a set of data on their leak site. That data came from a Parks and Recreation network drive, not from a core city system. We immediately began reviewing the files to identify impacted employees and are following all legal notification requirements. To protect our workforce, we proactively offered every employee 12 months of identity theft protection and credit monitoring. Our restoration is deliberate. Clean backups from July 25th gave us a trusted foundation to start from. I used to have superheroes in my mind that I thought of, and now my superhero is named David, who did his job every single day by completing the backups. He's my new superhero today.
Exactly.
We have started the recovery by prioritizing public safety systems, ensuring critical legal and operational functions are restored first, and we're continuing to partner with our incident response firm to validate every step of the way. This careful approach is allowing us to restore services with confidence, safely and securely. We're checking absolutely everything before we bring it online to make sure there's no persistence from the threat actor. Our approach has relied on key partnerships that I believe every public sector IT leader in Minnesota needs to know about to help them if and when they are attacked. Before I jump into that, I want to acknowledge the outreach and support we received from cities and towns across Minnesota, including partners in Minneapolis, Bloomington, Eden Prairie, Elk River, and Sherburne County, who loaned us computers for our Operation Secure St. Paul. We have a wonderful community here, and we feel so fortunate that we're going to be able to help them very soon. One of the closest partners that I've been working with since July 25th is Rick Shute, the director of our Department of Emergency Management. Unfortunately, he isn't able to be here today, but Deputy Director Mike Sand from our Emergency Management Department is here. So I'm going to hand it over to Deputy Director Mike Sand and Chief Information Security Steph Horvath to share more about our partners.
So no city can face an attack like this alone. And our recovery was made possible by state, federal, and private sector partners. Their expertise, intelligence, resources were indispensable, ensuring the continuity of services and accelerating recovery. We cannot say that enough, but we really feel that the emergency management was like the central hub guiding and ensuring and doing all the on-scene coordination. And to provide further details, Deputy Director, Emergency Management, Mike Sand.
Thank you, Mayor Carter, CISO Horvath, Director Waskalis, and thank you, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Mike Sand. I serve as the Deputy Director for the St. Paul Emergency Management Department. I'm certified as an Emergency Management Manager for Minnesota. I'm a female master practitioner, exercise practitioner with 20 years of experience in leading complex operations. As a retired Command Sergeant Major and a Senior Operations and Logistics Supervisor in the Minnesota National Guard, I bring crisis-tested leadership and strategic planning experience that continue to guide the City of St. Paul's emergency management and recovery efforts. The city activated our Emergency Operations Center, unifying our city, our county, state, federal, and National Guard partners under a coordinated structure. By operationalizing the incident support model, leadership established clear roles, responsibilities, communication channels across all departments. Core city services were sustained with limited disruption, while information flow was streamlined through regular updates to leadership, employees, and our partners. To accelerate the recovery and strengthen capacity, state and federal and private partner resources were integrated to reinforce and support city staff. Further, as a preparedness effort, the past 3 years to support our emergency operations plan, we collaborated and coordinated before the incident on cyber scenario-based exercises and trainings, completed critical infrastructure certification courses for our city staff, And these efforts strengthen our response efforts. And I'll turn it back over to Horvath.
To speak specifically to our state partnership, because state partners played an amazing force multiplying role. On Sunday morning, July 27th, the city reported the cyber incident to Minute using Minute's cyber incident response form. As we did, we felt assurance that the report was more than a cold submission of information. It would signal a request for assistance, and Minute was there to support that Sunday and many days into this response. Another important highlight, the city immediately shared threat actor activity with Minute, who through the Minnesota Fusion Center shared critical indicators of attack statewide. And I should say within hours. The indicators are technical markers that can be used by other cities and counties, ingested into their intrusion prevention and detection systems to immediately block known threat actor infrastructure and activity. And a last example of emergency management centric partner contributions. In close collaboration, EM coordinated with the BCA, Minute, and Ramsey County ECC with the National Guard as well to establish the workaround backup solution for emergency communications and CAD access. Our state partners who showed up with creative energy and steadfast commitment were vital to protecting public safety in all of our response activities. Next slide. But we had an additional partner for this incident. The 177th Minnesota National Guard Cyber Protection Team, established just only in 2017, deployed for 17 days, bringing extraordinary expertise, capability, and credibility. In direct support to Mayor Carter and Incident Commander Jamie Waskalis, the CPT executed cyber functions, working with police and fire to ensure continuity of emergency services, traveling throughout the city to several libraries and police stations to install endpoint detection software to hundreds of devices. Part of the team worked specifically to verify server health and integrity and helped plan and execute Operation Secure St. Paul. Their contributions accelerated recovery, security posture improvements, and simply cannot be overstated. Next slide. And a final note about our federal partners who have played a critical role. First, the FBI leads the investigation. From the onset, the FBI provided critical forensics analysis and intelligence support. Homeland Security Investigations from DHS was also on-site early and proved crucial in the early days to assist with resourcing incident response actions. CISA has been a long-running partner. The city has adopted and used CISA Cyber Defense Services for several years. We've done the training, we've reviewed their joint advisories, the shared national intelligence. And these connections, old and new, were the partnerships that ensured St. Paul's response was a whole-of-nation best practice response. In closing, I'd like to direct introduce Mayor Carter for closing remarks.
Thank you, Cecil Horvath, and thank you all at this table. Madam Chair, members of the committee, everyone at this table, and everyone sitting behind me today worked together swiftly and urgently to ensure that St. Paul's response was focused on protecting our information systems and personal data, and to protect our people, both our employees and our residents. Cyber threats are borderless. They're hitting governments, hospitals, schools, and organizations around the world. And our experience proves one thing: no community is immune. From the very first hours, this team acted with focus. We protected critical services, we safeguarded emergency response, and we limited the attacker's impact. And we didn't do it alone. Our Office of Technology and Communications and Emergency Management Department led the charge. alongside our Deputy Mayor, Jamie Tincher, and united with our internal experts, with local, state, and federal partners, bringing together intelligence, resources, and know-how to speed our recovery and expand our capacity. We fought on two fronts, investigating and containing the threat while keeping government running, making sure 911 calls were answered and city business never stopped. Today, St. Paul stands stronger with modernized defenses, tested coordination, and renewed partnerships. Just as we've learned from others, others can now learn from our experience. This is more than about recovery. It's about setting the standard for how Minnesota, not just Minnesotan cities or counties or tribal governments, but how Minnesota as a whole can prepare, respond, and strengthen our networks. Because this isn't just recovery, it's a model, a reminder that investment and collaboration make us smarter, faster, and tougher against the threats we all face. We are more resilient, more prepared, and more determined than ever to protect our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to all of our distinguished guests. With that, we will prepare to move towards questions. I will just say, once again, a very strong thank you to our partners with the FBI, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, as well as the 177th National Guard Unit for all of their help, as well as those folks standing before us in the St. Paul Emergency Management Office, the Office of Technology and Communications, and of course, Major General Horvath, our CISO for St. Paul. Those resources coming to bear is pretty incredible. To bring those together in a coordinated way and be able to thwart the worst of this attack in a very quick and efficient manner is really quite impressive. And to do it within such a short timeline, to get employees to turn that around, get those passwords changed, took an incredible amount of dedication from all folks across the spectrum. So I want to commend you on all of that, and thank you for all of that hard work. I do also want to mention that you had said during your presentation, you talked about Minutes incident reporting system, which was passed with the support of many of the members of this particular committee. And I am grateful also for that. And I think we are always excited to see when those systems actually work in practice and are able to thwart cyber attacks in other vectors as well. So that is really exciting to hear. And with that, I will go ahead and open it up to questions on the presentation. And do I see Vice Chair Lucero, that you may have a question for the team?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mayor Carter, city staff, the incident responders, the National Guard, the state and national partners in this effort. It sounds like a phenomenal response, very professional and in a very timely manner. And Mayor Carter is spot on. There is no government, there's no private sector entity that is immune. Everybody is susceptible to this. And I very much appreciate hearing the story of a robust backup to be able to recover from that. So my question, Mayor Carter, or any of the staff, would be, to the degree that you can answer, have you engaged in tabletop exercises for disaster recovery that would include using the backup to help prepare for an incident like this?
So answering that is we do conduct tabletop exercises. In this case, we did a cybersecurity workshop. The workshop allowed us to be more open-minded, bringing in cybersecurity professionals from CISA, from the FBI, a cybersecurity professional that allowed some of those experiences into a development of what our cybersecurity incident response plan might look like. It helped us to establish the framework that we used to really defend and to respond to this as the IT technical efforts started to work their angle, we were able to understand that through other states and other tabletop exercises, we also learned that there is a component of the city, of the continuity of government and continuity of operations that has to happen in continuous form. It's a parallel street to go together. So yes, we have done these workshops. We've done them in a couple of different arrangements. And we continue to learn from all of those. They establish our gaps, they establish our improvement plan, and then and they establish our priority of effort each and every time we get them done.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you. The reason I ask is to highlight that very fact is in my experience, tabletop exercises are so critically important to be done because they expose those areas of lack of preparation to be able to fill in those gaps, knowing exactly what's going to happen or what should happen step by step and who should be involved and who the go-to person is, et cetera. And as is the case with so many of these unfortunate incidents, other entities learn from the experiences that others have to go through. And having the volumes could be written of those who thought they had good backups or had done backups and had never done a test restore to confirm that they're working, just to find out, to go white in the face and understand that unfortunately the data's not there. But the lesson learned is so important for obviously the city and for others across the state and country who are watching to do the tabletop exercises, confirm that your backups are working, because that's the fact that you had a healthy backup from the day before demonstrates as a testimony to the robustness of the processes at St. Paul. So thank you again, Mayor Carter, the team, and Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lucero. It certainly is, and I know that a lot of folks will be looking to St. Paul because you have probably much more robust staffing and resources to really put together those really thorough continuity plans, do those tabletop exercises, make sure that all the pieces are in place. So I suspect we'll be seeing lots of folks looking to you for advice. So, and with that, we do have next on our list Representative Nash, who is online with a question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members, and thank you for the presenters. I will echo a lot of what Senator Lucero just said, and I'll also point out that the people who are from the legislature that are members on this commission, we've been saying this for a very long time, and you needn't look much further than history for the city of Atlanta, the city of Baltimore, and sadly now we'll have the city of St. Paul. But as Senator Lucero said, it comes down to the preparedness that existed. And as somebody who came from the storage industry prior to working in cyber, it's good to have somebody who is focused on utilizing backups and recovery. And I will also echo what the senator just said about doing tabletop exercises. And I know that Major General Horvath and I have spoken about this in times where we've chit-chatted about this. These are the important aspects that have to be conducted. And I will just say this, even all of the preparedness and even all of the foresight and even all of the planning can never stop the potential attacks that cities, counties, the state may see. So that this is something that is unfortunate. The recovery was good, but no one should rest easy and think that this is going to be something that now that we've experienced it, it's going to go away. It will not. And I've said this on the floor and in committee, there are businesses that have been built around the exploitation of systems. And as we have also spoken about, the absolute weakest link is the person with a mouse in their hand that decides to click on things. And if we could outlaw that, we would be in a better place. But sadly, the exploitation of the human condition of being curious and clicking on things that you don't take a moment and scrutinize, that's where we all fall down. And I think that the more we can harness what happened in St. Paul and certainly in the other major cities across our country, and honestly, this happens every day. And I don't want folks to lose sight of that. This happens every single day in every state, in every country, and we need to be more singularly dedicated to understanding what's happening, how we can be a part in lessening the impact, but we should not be so blind to the fact that we're never going to get rid of this. This is a war that never ends. So thank you for the presentation, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes. Mayor Carter.
Madam Chair, Representative Nash, thank you so much for that comment. I think that's really critical. It actually reminded me of two thank yous that I missed in my opening statements. As you mentioned, the attacks that the city of Atlanta and the city of Baltimore have endured. I also would be remiss not to offer my thanks to Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, as well as former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. You know, as we talk about our fabric of communities working together, that extends beyond this state as well. As we were on the phone with both of them, as well as their teams, to learn from their experiences as well. As you said, Representative Nash, we know that we are not alone in this, and that this is something that every single, not just government entity, but every single entity must face. Again, as I shared earlier, it was a surprise to me to learn that there have been at least 6, including us, attacks, publicly reported attacks against municipalities and local government units just in the state of Minnesota, just in the last year. This is an emerging and an escalating threat that we all have to be vigilant about. As much as we would have preferred not to have learned all the lessons that we did and not to have gone through the experience that we did over the last month or so, we certainly do stand as a part of that network to be able to ensure, you know, our hope is that as many communities as possible learn as much as possible from the experience that we've been through over these past several weeks.
Thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. And I know we have seen nationally a shift as larger, more savvy organizations sort of batten down the hatches. We have seen a shift to smaller organizations, to cities, and more vulnerable entities. We also know that there's a reason we have phrases in our vernacular now like clickbait, right? These things are going to happen. Humans are curious. We continue to do it, as Representative Nash mentioned, and so it will continue to happen. But I'm glad that you called out your work with the city of Boston and so forth, and which leads to one of the questions and tees up very nicely, which is how, and I know you're still perhaps doing a little bit of recovery here, so to be fair, we want to give grace there, but there been much thought about how we might be able to use the experience of the city of St. Paul to leverage some of that to help some of our smaller cities who maybe don't have the same level of resources?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And again, for all of you, Representative Nash, you know, just really appreciate the support we have here. We know that it's a matter of when and not if as we move forward. So one of the key things that has come out of this for me is again, the community and partnerships that we have. I have a community of chief information officers from across the country who have been through this or are awaiting to come through something like this. And first I want to say is that the advice that was given to me early on when we were going through this were you need to check for this, you need to do this, you need to do this. That was things that we were already doing, or because of the close partnership we had with our emergency management department, they were helping us move that forward. So I'm so grateful for that partnership, for the partnership we have with our local, state, and federal agencies, the National Guard, really for, we are resource wealthy in St. Paul when it comes to a municipality in Minnesota. That is clear. Of course, we all wish we had more people, but for these smaller cities who may have this, who will have this happen to them, to be able to have a resource of experts who can come in and be those, I always say, can we please, duplicate this person and this person, this person? That is what the National Guard did for us. And so we're really, really excited to work with the National Guard, work together to tell our story, put together those deep lessons learned and help all of our partners here across Minnesota, because I think what we have here is something that's really special, that none of my colleagues from around the country have had the kind of experience that I have had, that we have had, because of those partnerships and the resources that we have here.
Thank you, Ms. Wascalis. Just want to make sure we note your name for the record as we speak too, so that folks who may not be in the room know who's speaking. And it looks like Major General Horvath, you have a comment as well?
Madam Chair, Commission, just to add to that, there's two pieces I believe that we could almost just hand off immediately. Some of the communications that the OTC communications team has built is so actually enjoyable when it comes to cyber user training. They made an MFA video that is adorable and easy to understand. They've created a firewall newsletter to distill really important, kind of sometimes lengthy identity protection information into quick readable format. So just phenomenal work there. And then also post-click runtime security controls. So after somebody goes to a malicious website or clicks something or something downloads to the computer, there are now security controls at the runtime within the computer system, in the operating system, that add to detection and blocking capabilities. So I would call them like post-click security controls, post-click runtime security controls. And those, if someone's running a Microsoft operating system, those are easily transferable to anyone running a Microsoft operating system.
Thank you for that, Major General. I really appreciate that. I do have one additional question, but
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry. My apologies, Mr. Sand. I did not see you there. Please go ahead and proceed.
Madam Chair, I wanted to add an area of emphasis that I think jurisdictions, local partners can do, similar to what the police department, the fire department do, public works departments do across all jurisdictions, is they have a mutual aid agreement. Yes. And I wanted to highlight that, allowing the opportunity for the CISOs in their associations, in their networks, but not only that, but that training that they're able to do and bring in observations to your exercises, bring those observers in from outside your entity, outside your jurisdiction. There's so much we learn from being observers of watching somebody else's, whether we see there an incident or whether we're in their training or in their exercise stuff, we see those. That's a really good idea. It's an aha moment for us. And mutual aid agreements are very important, that we can do that. It gives us 72 hours of really quick, help me when I need it most, and then maybe I can use it more in a little bit. But I would thank you for that. I wanted to add that.
Thank you, Mr. Sand. And I think there are lots of city managers and city staff listening in, looking for those tips and tidbits on how they can improve their own systems, right? Making sure that those unsung heroes like David doing the unsexy things like creating backups every day. That's not usually the role that we think of as the most exciting. But when pinch comes to shove, it is in fact one of the most important roles. And so we thank David for being our unsung hero here today. With that, do we have any other questions? If not, I have one last one, but Senator Wickland, or Chair Wickland.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I first just thank you very much for this presentation. It's been really informative and comprehensive, and I really appreciate the time that you took to put this together for us. And it really brings out for me the large number of resources it takes to respond to an incident, and how many people end up being involved and affected by it, and what it takes to prepare for that. I guess to extend what Chair Bonner was talking about with, what do you see as possibilities going forward to help us? I was wondering, and I don't know, it might be too early for it, but if there are ways that you could help us understand if there are changes or suggestions you'd have for the state sort of requirements and statute for responding to incidents like this, if you had any advice on any improvements that could be made, or if there's areas that you think the state has supported you through resources or planning ahead of time that could be strengthened. I think we would be appreciative of learning more about that so that we can focus efforts on, providing modifications or making processes work better. I think there were a couple places that you mentioned, the incident response being one of them, but then there's also notification processes that you have to use that follow state statutes. So I'd be interested in hearing more about, if there are things that you think we could do. I think that providing resources to, local communities is one thing that we know already is an issue. But any other thoughts you have on that would be helpful. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair Wickland. Anyone want to field that? And I will say thank you also. Great minds must think alike, because that was sort of where I was headed too, is sort of how can we help you? So it looks like Ms. Wascalis, excuse me.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Bonner. Thank you, Chair Wickland, Commission. I'll defer to Chief Information Security Officer Steph Horvath for the majority of this information, but I just wanted to say that the work that the state has done for the whole of state plan for cybersecurity is really a critical piece of infrastructure and services that can support the entire state. And so that's something that we really appreciate and value here, that we want to see moving forward. I just also want to say, to Commissioner Tarek Tolmes, to Chief Information Security Officer John Israel, they have always been available and open. Just the partnerships that we have here with Minute are, just indispensable. And I know not every single city and town can have that kind of a relationship, but we have a really caring community that wants to protect the whole state. And I'm so appreciative to be in this city, in this state, in my position. But Chief Information Security Officer Horvath, I'll defer to you on any additional resources.
Major General or CISO Horvath.
Thank you, Madams Chair and Commission. I think you have the plan that Minute established. The cybersecurity plan established by Minute really is a tremendous plan, and to just continue to bolster that plan. Key and actual deliverable from that plan is Minute's MDR, Managed Detection and Response capability. It should be available for all communities across the state. It's proving very valuable, that MDR, Minute's Managed Detection and Response program.
All right. Thank you for that. We do not often get to serenade our friends at Minute enough with our gratitude for all of their hard work. And I do echo the same thing as Ms. Wascalis, that we are very fortunate to live in a state that prioritizes cybersecurity. We're very fortunate to have a very full bench, not just in this room, but others who are dedicated to the work behind cybersecurity and have been really working to try to be leaders in the nation on that. And we are so lucky to have the TAC as well as Minute to help us really coordinate all of those efforts. And of course, the 177th, who is an incredible asset to us as well. So very grateful for that. And I think another question. No. Any other questions in the room? Vice Chair Nash, did you have any additional questions online?
Madam Chair, no, I do not. Thank you, though.
All right, perfect. Well, with that, we will wrap up the question portion for the open meeting. And then it is now our intention to be transparent to the public, to go ahead and move to a closed meeting per Minnesota Statutes 3.888 Subdivision 5. I want to state for the record that Minnesota Statute 3.88 Subdivision 5, the commission intends to recess and go into a closed session after a 10-minute break. During the closed session, the commission will hear an overview from agencies involved in the response to the cybersecurity attack in St. Paul on items that, if discussed in an open session, would compromise the cybersecurity of the state or those entities. The subjects to be discussed during the closed meeting is the information of the recent cybersecurity attack in St. Paul. Prior to going into the closed session, the commission rules require a vote of the commission authorizing the ability to go into a closed session. The rules require a majority vote for the commission to conduct a closed meeting. A voice vote will be taken unless a roll call is requested. The full commission will plan to adjourn during the closed meeting and will not be returning to this room. The location of the closed session is noted in the members' packets. And with that, I will go ahead and take a vote to move us into a closed session. All those members in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the ayes have it. We will now proceed to moving into a closed session. And for the open portion of this meeting, we will call this meeting of the Legislative Cyber Commission on Cybersecurity to a close, and we will reconvene in 10 minutes. Thank you.